So a few years ago, I started an annual tradition where I go back and play a retro RPG that I didn't get the chance to play, whether it be because I was too young or I wasn't even thought of at the time of conception. What drew me to play Final Fantasy VI is seeing the fact that this alternate dimension of the Joker is a heavily talked about subject when it comes to Final Fantasy villains in general. I want to answer the question that I have seen pop up surrounding Final Fantasy VI and surrounding specifically Kefka, which is, did Kefka truly win? But before we answer that question though, let's actually delve into just who Kefka is as a person, what is his goal, and most importantly, how his personal philosophy truly decides whether he accomplished that goal or not. Let's get into Kefka's backstory. So Kefka originally is a court mage for the Gestalian Empire, led of course by Emperor Gestal. But as you find out pretty early into the game, magic no longer exists within this world. Because it no longer exists, what does humanity do? They start tampering with shit they shouldn't be tampering with, aka trying to restore magic, aka which leads into experimenting on humans who don't have magic. Kefka was one of the many people who was experimented on by the Gestalian Empire who wanted to create a brigade of magic users. And because the experiments are so early into development that they haven't been optimized yet, the side effects of being doped up with magic steroids is that Kefka becomes this insanely crazed person. Kefka is operating solely on the grounds of obtaining more magic, more power, and most importantly, the powers of a god, which leads to him betraying Emperor Gestal and awakening the Warring Triads so that he could not only destroy the world, but essentially absorb their powers as well as the powers of multiple summons to become this omnipresent god being. And granted, if you're a person playing the game, naturally you're sitting here soaking this all in and going like, damn, like Kefka really did a number on this world. And now I'm gonna give you an explanation of why I believe that Kefka did not win, regardless of the technicalities. For one, if Kefka truly did win, then we would see the credits roll right after the world got destroyed. So why continue the game? And that's because the game isn't necessarily looking at Kefka winning through the physical act of destroying the world. Final Fantasy VI is a game where there is a battle of philosophy. There is a battle between people trying to hold on despite the world turning into shit every single day or suddenly at the flip of a hat. What I like about Kefka is that despite the comparisons to the Joker from the Batman, they don't have to be a great villain solely because of some kind of human connection. They are the ultimate representation of a particular morality. Kefka in the world of Final Fantasy VI is essentially a villain that is morphed into the ideology. He is a villain who represents on the grand stage that there is no point in hope. There is no point in perseverance. There is no point in seeking any understanding beyond the concept of nothingness. So why are humans still hell-bent on wanting something to live for? And that's what makes him a great villain, because we literally see the main protagonist, Terra, put in her 2 weeks notice with no email. That is the red flag right there towards Kefka almost winning. If you really believe that's the end of the world, then I hate to say it, but Kefka's got you whipped. Like, you are laying in the same bed as Terra. You are a defeatist. You lack no courage to continue fighting. This sequence with the world of ruin really showcases whether or not you are a glass half empty or glass half full kind of person. It's also a sequence that really tests the mental fortitude that comes with being a hero. Even when the villain has the upper hand, I'm talking about a royal flush of a hand with almost winning. Do you give up? Do you accept defeat? Is the situation out of your hand? I mean, if you're a hero that do so, well, that doesn't make you a hero. We don't consider those people to be heroes. Like, we've never seen Goku tell Majin Buu, "Hey, Majin Buu, you won. If you just give me a second chance to get the run back a year from now, just give me 1 year to train on Planet Kai, and I promise you, I'll be back and better than ever."
Just don't kill anybody else.
No! However, when you go and you try to recruit all of the people back into your party, you're seeing through their section, through their character developments, how vital it is to continue to have hope. If anything, to find something else to believe in, something else to hope to protect. Edgar infiltrate back into Figaro Castle after it's been raided by some thieves, and you realize like, oh, I still have people that need me. I still have a kingdom to rule on the behalf of his and Sabin's parents' legacy. When it comes to Cyan, you find out that he's been writing letters to this random girl in town, with her believing that she's still talking to her lover. Of course, Cyan is the same person who lost his wife and kid because of Kefka poisoning the waters. It is through communicating with this also grieving woman, as well as returning to Doma Castle and going through a dungeon that takes place in Cyan's dreams, and also being able to meet his wife and kid within his mind. And what's beautiful about this moment is that once Cyan gets the acceptance and the reassurance from his family that he is still a good man, he is still an honorable man, and they will always live within his heart, this is the moment that allows for all the doubt and all the confusion that Cyan felt not being there for his family to completely clear, and also allow for him to awaken his full potential as a swordsman. And then there's Strago, where when you go to the cultist tower and you see him in line with the other cultists that are submitting to Kefka, the fact that you have to recruit Ram into your party in order to snap him out of it is because of the fact that Strago believed that Ram died. Then there's Celeste and Locke, the love story of the game. Although Locke develops feelings for Celeste, he struggles moving on from his deceased lover Rachel, and it's his guilt of being unable to save Rachel that convinces him he must always save and protect any damsel in distress. Meanwhile, Celeste, who eventually becomes a damsel in distress, for all of her life was groomed into an Imperial soldier, and once she betrayed the Empire, was easily thrown away by the Empire, doomed for execution until rescued by Locke. She's constantly battling her insecurities and seems to display some traits of depression as she initially accepted her execution. In both her darkest and the game's darkest moment, attempts to commit suicide after the death of Sid, after consigning to the belief that within the world of Ruin, everyone she's befriended or loved, whether that be Sid, the other party members, and especially Locke, are all gone. But all it took for Celeste was one small sign to regain her hope to move forward within this bleak world. And what was that sign? Locke's bandana delivered by a bird. Locke also receives a sign himself by way of the Phoenix Magicite bonding to Rachel's corpse, allowing Rachel to give Locke one final message before she disappears for good, reassuring Locke that he was never responsible for her death, she was happy to be with him, and grants him her blessing to move on to the new person within his heart. Celeste. Both of these characters within their own respective journeys now are able to move forward unchained by guilt and finding redemption. With Tara, you essentially see her realize with the fight with Humbaba, she has something else to fight for, and that is the orphans she takes care of, as well as one of the villagers being pregnant. To see the sight of life still being birthed and coming into a world that has not been completely destroyed yet, it's symbolic in the fact that the world still has a future. Yes, the world is shattered and looking like a 4-year-old's attempt to eat a slice of pizza, but the fact that the world still stands, there are still towns, there are still people breathing, that means that all has not been lost yet. Which is pretty sad that Kefka as a villain has just accepted that everything that makes humanity flourish and everything that has to do with the concept of being a lived person, he wants it all wiped away. It is all meaningless in his eyes. And yet the beauty in hearing a villain such as himself express all of this is seeing that our lineup of characters are representations of everything that he doesn't stand for. We see this ultimate pinnacle of nihilism. We see him defeated by faith, love, joy, wisdom, courage, perseverance, most importantly, hope. And that right there, with the downfall of Kefka and the defeat of Kefka and the destruction of Kefka, is why I must say that Final Fantasy VI is one hell of a Final Fantasy. That wraps up this video. Thank you all so much for watching. But until the next video, stay safe, stay healthy, peace.